you can make the best stuff you can make, but you have no control over if people like it or not, you know? So it's really great to be not attached to the results in a sense. I mean, you do because you want to, I got to get a lot of views to get the clicks, to get the money. But if you're thinking about that when you're making it, it's not going to be as good probably.
Joel, thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Let's start with the basics. How would you describe yourself professionally?
I say that I make videos for children's television and for brands. I don't. It's funny because this is a show about how do artists make money. In a lot of ways, I would like to say that I'm not an artist. I do everything as well as I can. But I do make a lot of different things. And I have a workshop, for instance, that I can use to build things for my videos and stuff like that.
When you say you're doing everything, is it primarily directing?
With my partner, Jennifer, my wife, we make videos and I shoot it. I do the effects. I direct it. Yeah, there's nobody. It's mostly just the two of us, or sometimes just me. And that's how I've done it. I worked on a kid's show, Yo Gabba Gabba, a long time ago. And that's where I kind of had this nickname, Joel Department, because there was like the camera department and it's different departments. And I would just make the videos I made just by myself. Like, I've got my own camera. Like, it's a big hassle to get somebody with a big camera over there and schedule time. I got my own camera. I can turn it on. I know how to get in focus and everything. I've been making things that I wanted to see for a long time. And in doing that, I got a lot of the skills. I have a lot of the technical skills because I wanted things a certain way. Much like yourself, you have a really good technical skill as an animator and using your tools. I was thinking a lot about this. How do artists make money? Which is a great question, something I'll wonder about. And I mean, the first thing is, what's an artist? It's kind of a big subject, right? But is it somebody who kind of solves creative problems and tries to surprise themselves? The most creative thing I feel like I've ever done was programming. And I started programming when I was a little kid. I'm 54. So that was the early 80s. And it was a really weird thing to do. And then make money. Well, what's money? I mean, there's the dollar bills, but don't you do a lot of stuff so you have free time or so that you can spend more time with your kids? And to answer the question of this podcast, how do artists make money? How do I make money? Is I make things that I want to see, things that nobody asked me to do, that I just wanted to see. And I thought they'd be neat. And I can't find it anywhere. If I wanted to make something, I could find somebody else that made it. I don't have to make it. But I make things that people I haven't seen before and I like. And then other people see it and they say, hey, could you do that for me? And again, that's for kid shows is a typical, like I'd make lots of little segments, little standalone segments that fit into a bigger kid show. So some kid shows are just like any show, like there's just, a story and you follow the story and it's over. But some have there are magazine formats like Sesame Street has little different segments. And so I'll make those little segments. This is something I wanted to do for years. I wanted to make short videos. I wanted to make videos that were 20 seconds long, 10 seconds long. And now that's very popular and seems normal. But I was doing this before YouTube. I was talking to people I live near LA in the business saying like, hey, where can I make little videos? I just want ones that are this long. And people say, well, it's called interstitial. You know where you see those? I said, no. And they said, yeah, don't, because there aren't any. Hey. And now we live in an interstitial world. So it's worked out. I still want to do this. I would like to make a movie, but not very much. I'd rather make something that's like 10 seconds. Like I don't like directing my feature film. Most people want to do something else, I feel like, but I like doing this.
Yeah, to paint a picture of what you're describing, I was looking at the one you made for Vans shoes. And
okay, I made a lot, but sure.
Yeah, the one I saw was a bunch of little 4, 5, 6 second clips of a shoe with a rocket shooting out of it, or stop motion feet going through the sand with shoes, or quick visual effects tricks.
That was how I began with Vans. They just it was like, hey, let's make some stuff that's neat to look at. Send us some shoes, and just started doing it. Again, I was making things like a long time ago when I went to an art school, And it was during the beginning of the internet. And I learned about making web pages, and you could make your own web page and put it on the internet and somebody else could look at it. It was crazy. So I looked at the very limited materials and I was like, well, I'm going to do some freak with it, and I tried just putting like lots of layers and things that I had never seen before. And, ended up being much more technically complicated than any websites that were out there, And later on, I was making my effects videos with After Effects, and I like collaging. And when I showed that to somebody else, they were like, "Oh, can you do that for me?" And I already have those skills because I was doing titles for TV commercials. So there'd be like Taco Bell or something, and they would say like 2 words would come in and say "super juicy," like these big words would come in. And I would be like, people like, "Can you do that?" I was like, "Yeah." Like just 2 words come, like, that's what you want me to do? Yeah, sure. They paid really well. It was, and then I was making my own weird stuff on the side. Weird isn't the right word, but I was making my own little videos, short collagey things. And YoGab had just been announced, like that it was existing and was going to go into production. I saw somebody this website. And so I just wrote to them and I said, "Hey, this looks really neat. This looks like what I do." And I just made a web page with like a few lines of like a curriculum, like a resume, just a few things like I have done some stuff. Then I just sent a page of images. That's just a huge page of images that I had taken. And they called a couple of days later and they said, "Yeah, could you come check it out?" And I came and they was like, "Yeah, we could use your help."
The interesting thing to me within that is how everyone I've spoken to so far, myself included, are so immersed in the world of social media and how to be, how to attack it and do this and level up. Whereas what you're describing is the opposite, where you're saying, "I don't care too much about that. I'm just going to make whatever I want." And that's the way in, versus I've gotten so swept up sometimes in saying, "Oh, this is what the internet wants of me. This is what will do the best. This is what will," and I get so lost and off track.
I love doing client work, and I find it just about pretty much as rewarding. I don't think like, "Oh, these dumb people made me do this thing." I love it too. I like it. I think it's just as juicy. And I was going to say I did Yo Gabba Gabba, and then that led to me doing a couple other kids shows and stuff. Somebody from Yo Gabba, one of the main producers from the Aquabats and the Yo Gabba, went to take a job being the video producer at Vans, and then me and my friend Ross did this big Vans like global brand parade. It was a massive fun spot, and I continued to do little things for Vans for years. And they were my main client. They were like, "Oh, I was the only one." And then somebody from Vans who knew me from there went to Levi's. And then I did Levi's. My partner, Jennifer, and I, we did Levi's because somebody had worked with me and they like working with me because I make interesting work. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to cheat them out of money. I do the stuff I said I would do. I always over deliver. I love making stuff that's for clients. I always am making way too much. It's like a problem because pay me to do 5 things. And I'm like, well, I made 8 or 9.
I like what you're describing there. You said how you'll do a job and it basically just gives you runway for a while to then make whatever you want. So it's, in the social media world, there's this idea of climbing and getting bigger and the numbers go up. Whereas what you're describing is a bit more cyclical where, you do a job and then you just make your stuff for a while. And then when the money runs out, you do another job and then you get to make your own stuff for a while. It's kind of this, it feeds each other because every time you make your own stuff, you're inventing things that people want.
I haven't, so right now I'm just finishing music. I do lots of other little jobs, little things. I'm doing a music video for some friends, Cuckoo Band, and we had a good time making it. I'm finishing that up. And my big job is I need to work on my website. Because if I have stopped sharing for the past couple of years. I haven't been doing any hard posts on Instagram. For instance, I do beautiful, amazing artworks, you could call them, on my stories, and they disappear. And then nobody can see them anymore. Again, I don't know what the problem is with me, but I love that format so much. So I have been how artists don't make money. That would be me not updating my website. But once I open my website, I have a lot of new work and would present myself present my work in Jennifer's a little bit better. And luckily I don't run out of money. I've been doing pretty good with that. And the job, but there is I think of it like farming. Farmers get paid usually once a year, right? And they have to take out big loans and stuff. And so that's what it is. I have these big jobs that can take a month or more. or just kind of ongoing. And there's breaks in between. And if I get a chance, I might run out and travel.
You mentioned not needing to really post on social media for the last handful of years, and how important it is to have word of mouth with people you've worked with, who then go on to other companies and then go on to other companies.
Yeah.
So is that primarily how you're finding work, is through that network of trust you've built over decades?
I think so. Yeah. Boy, it sounds terrible when you say decades, but yes, I guess it has been. Yeah, I think so. I do need to post on Instagram, and I'm failing, and I would have a lot more work. I don't really see, that's the other thing, is I don't really want more work right now. I'm kind of enjoying what's going the pace, but I should be. And it's a pity, and even just to show my own work, I should be. But to your point, yes, people that I've met that have gone on to do other stuff carry me with them in a sense. Or they like to somebody goes to another company and they're like, hey, check this out. I got the secret guy. I got this guy. He does amazing work. You don't know him, So like I'm in their pocket, and for them, it makes them look good if they can, pull me out of their pocket and I do stuff. Yeah, that is primarily, but definitely, and people who know me, it's still because of my, let's say mostly Instagram. It isn't just because they know me. They know and they've seen my work. Yes, it is through word of mouth, but it is that chain. Like the big jobs have mostly come through these kind of big things. And I don't have tons. I don't have lots of clients. It's so exciting to hear, people with brand deals left and right all over the place. And I have a little slower pace, but also I won't, we don't have to get the numbers, but I get paid very well. I get paid very well. And, I have low overhead. So again, it's worked out pretty good.
I've taken that approach where I don't want to build a big company. I like it being just me. It's lean. Yeah. There's no responsibility for it. Have you kept things that way as well?
Yes. I worked at this when I worked at the editorial, I worked at an editorial place, meaning they edited commercials. It was in Los Angeles and in Santa Monica, and they edited commercials all day long. And they had 3 editors, and they had a couple assistants, and then they had a graphics person. That was me. That's where I was doing, super juicy, the words coming in After Effects. And they told me their company at one point had been 40 people. And now it was just these 3 people, basically. And they said, oh yeah, the industry changed, and you either had to get very big or very small. And they could have gone up to 120 people. And they thought about it, and they looked at buildings, but they said, yeah, that doesn't seem very fun. Let's go really small. You had to be very big. And that's where I first got the idea that there is a size, there is a size that's small that works good. And we just did a big kind of series of 5 spots for this brand, also the electric bike company. And that one we needed to cast and crew and locations. And then we hired our friend who's a producer to produce the spot. And he did that. And that was fun. And it was still very lean. But it wasn't fun. I don't like that's so stressful compared to just being at home. And for me to make the best pieces, I need a lot of I need some playtime. I need some room to experiment.
I'm curious, with your career, has it been fairly steady? Have there been a lot of ups, a lot of downs? And what do you do in those times where it's down and to weather them?
That's a really good question. You know what's weird is it's kind of been pretty steady, I think. I know there's been a bunch of times when I kind of got stressed out. Like I forget about it. And then my wife's like, oh yeah, remember you were really stressed out about this? Like we didn't have work or something. So I guess I do, but it's kind of somehow been fairly steady. Yeah. There's times when we get work that like we're doing a job and it's just all consuming. I think that makes me not very good at fulfilling tasks because I have all this list of important things to do. Like I'd like to clean up my workshop. But it's so much easier when you are in an all hands on deck emergency. This thing's got to get done. People have got to get this thing. Then it's easy to figure out what to do. And then as soon as the emergency's over, I'm like, and then I'm less like looking Instagram, playing a video game, doing, I don't know what, cleaning tools. I don't know what am I doing cleaning tools?
What's the longest it's been where a connection you have that you haven't spoken to, like what's the longest it's been where they come back and say, oh, we're looking for someone, like, do you want to do this thing?
Oh, a few years. I mean, my friend who I did the electric bike stuff for it also. He worked at Rivian. He was going to bring me in to do a Rivian spot, and we didn't really get it together. And then he left the company. Years later, he's like, "Hey, I'm working this new thing," and I thought of you, and it makes sense. He's like, "We need some video. This is a good how do artists make money story." He worked for this company that makes electric bikes called Also, but they hadn't released it, and they had an Instagram and stuff, but they just had a couple shots from Rivian. Like they're not even connected anymore. They needed something, and he didn't know what, and he didn't know how to pay me. He talked to Louis like, "What? How do we do this?" Like a contractor. It's like it doesn't make sense. Like he doesn't even know what I don't need. We don't know. He doesn't know what I need, and I don't know what he needs. And I said, "Listen, let's just do a daily rate." And I gave him kind of a modest daily rate, and I'll just make some stuff. And if it works, then we'll keep doing it. If not, we'll stop. Low commitment. I didn't need it because it's like if my stuff isn't working, I don't want him to be locked in. And yes, that's easy. That's easy to say yes to. It was great, and so I went to their office, and my partner and I got some of their parts and filmed it and started making stuff, and it was great. It was on. That's all they had was just these funny little spots that we made with pieces, gears. So anyway, to me that was a success story, and they did that for a while, and then we did the big campaign, these 5 spots, and now the bike is launched, and I haven't talked to them. Are they going to call me again? Yeah, they probably will. I hope so. But yes, to answer your question, years later, these relationships, I think these relationships could last, people who you've worked with, they remember you. They're people who hire, the people who hire you are people who hire animators. They're going to go somewhere else and they're going to hire animators again or filmmakers, right? That's going to be their career. So they're going to keep remembering you if you're fun to work with and not a jerk. It's going to be an easy call. Yeah. That's an important part about it is being like not being a jerk.
Agreed. That's a really good point of offering a day rate to explore. I didn't even consider that because brand deals are a big part of things nowadays, and there's a lot in the negotiation of it. What's the rate? How many pieces? All this exclusivity kind of stuff. But so many of the deals I talk about with companies, they hit a wall and they don't go anywhere. But yeah, that's such an easy yes, as you explained it, is just saying, why don't we do a day rate for a while? I'll explore. That's amazing. That's such a good way to approach it.
You could make little 5-second things. Just throw out some little candies, in a sense, like little visual candy things. Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't cut into the amount that you would have made otherwise. And as much as I ask for, a person like you or me, we're much cheaper than an agency. Imagine paying an advertising agency to do this stuff. And they wouldn't have they're good for big things. We're good for big ideas that can be made in a small package.
Yeah, it's this amazing system now where we can be found directly through the internet, where they could pay a production company $5 million to have 100 people do something, or they can pay me a fraction and I'll still make something cool.
They just want to make sure that they make sure we're going to spend all this money, you got all these 100 people, make sure it's good. I think that's where a big fear. And I think you mentioned another thing about that. Somebody mentioned like bigger brands are actually usually easier to deal with, or they're more flexible. And I think about that with my work. If I try to go show my work, maybe it's a little different, but in general, like if I showed my work to like a local car dealer, they're not going to hire me. They're not like a small business isn't going to hire me. It's only really big businesses that go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Everybody else is like, "What are you doing?" So luckily, the stuff I do appeals to these big brands. And I think for you as well. How do you navigate? Like, how do the people contact you directly and then you pass it to your agent, or does the stuff go directly to the agent? How does that work?
Typically, I've just made it really easy to find me. So I have a contact form and emails everywhere. So typically the deals come, or the first contact is right to me inbound, and then I'll tag my agent in to help discuss.
That's so great. What percentage of actual, like, what percentage is your acceptance rate, do you think, of like deals? Like, do you think that people, I mean, there's people maybe just kind of tease something out and then they leave, but when people make an offer, do you think it's like you're doing half of the deals or 90% of the things that people have asked you to do?
It's probably half or less.
Yeah.
Typically with budget issues or timelines, there's weirdly a lot of we need it yesterday kind of stuff where
that's funny, like, especially for stop motion.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's impossible. Why did you wait so long? Like, why are you asking me a week before? Why haven't you planned ahead? So there's a lot of that.
Yeah. But then sometimes I bet you do stuff for Christmas in like July.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. A lot of companies plan ahead for Christmas. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of brand mismatch where maybe a luxury brand or something will come to me and I'm like, it's not quite, my stuff's a little more handmade and, you know, arts and crafts. So it doesn't quite say luxury. So there's a lot of stuff like that where it doesn't fit.
It could, but you got to trust them as well. They might be looking for that to bend the brand image. But they blow again. I'm surprised sometimes people come to me and I'm like, you want my weird stuff? And then it ends up being really good. Well, that's really great. You have that system. And like you said, also, I bet you get people, you know, like some mattress company or something saying like, here's $50. Can you do this thing that takes a week? Like, we'll tag you on our Instagram. And you're like,
yeah, there's a lot of
I'm just going to go tag myself.
And I get a lot of offers from software apps that I always turn down because I don't know how to make digital stuff interesting. Like what? I can't grab onto it when it's a screen.
Oh, Kevin, OpenAI, the biggest AI company, made their first big video thing and they had no AI in it. They didn't want to see any of that. These digital brands are coming to you because they're trying to get out of the thing. That's funny. Software brands. Yeah. Well, they might want something real mushy. Maybe they want you to animate wet socks. Maybe that's what they need.
Maybe. I guess to wrap things up for one final question, I'm curious with all your experience, what do any like big mistakes or dead ends or wrong turns stand out to you?
That's a great question. Yes. It's again, I've already addressed it. I am terrible at showing my work and it is ridiculous. And I'd be making more money and have more time if I had a proper portfolio. I'd love for, your viewers to go, oh, who's this guy? Let me go check it out his work. And I've got some stuff online. SmileMountain.com, Smile MTN. I didn't buy the domain Mountain. I just got Smile MTN. Oh, also, by the way, you talked to a lot of people about different business structures. I've worked for the biggest brands in the world and I don't have an LLC. I don't have any of that stuff because every time I go to talk to the accountant, she says, no, it's just going to cost you money. And I've been able to be paid by Disney. I mean, I worked on Disney, Levi's, like these are big companies. They just pay me as a person. So you can make those structures if you want, but they're kind of a hassle. They cost extra money, extra time, and I haven't needed them. So just saying. In terms of mistakes, yes, I guess again, not sharing my work well enough. And if you make a video and you put it in the forest and nobody sees it, does it exist? Did it make a video? I don't know. Sorry.
That's insightful that you see worrying as the biggest mistake, because when I look at my stuff, sometimes I spend a month making something and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move the needle, but I still made it and it's still experience and it's still like, so it is hard to define things as wrong turns or mistakes. It all adds up.
Kevin, you can make the best stuff you can make, but you have no control over if people like it or not, You just don't. And I've made incredible work that nobody cares about. And I've made really just dumb little spin-off things that people love. And so, sometimes the audience is right. And sometimes like, you guys just, nobody got this part, but it's so good. So it's really great to be not attached to the results in a sense. I mean, you do, because I got to get a lot of views to get the clicks, to get the money. But if you're thinking about that when you're making it, it's not going to be as good probably. If you think about your audience, you think about your audience, you want to have fun with them. But I hope you keep making some pieces, Kevin, that that nobody asked for.
That's an amazing place to end. That's super insightful. And I'll take that with me.
Okay. Once again, that's another thing I tell people. So few people, they're like, I want to be a designer. I'm waiting to get a job. It's like, go design something. Design a logo for something you just made up. Just go make stuff that nobody asked you to make that you like. And if you don't like doing it, then maybe don't do it. Maybe you don't like doing it. Just go make stuff nobody asked you to do that you wanted to see and let other people see it. That's pretty fun.
I think that's a really good place to end. That's some great wisdom. Joel, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks so much.
As always, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you're watching or listening, please give us a like and a follow. And if you enjoy the show, please leave a rating. It would really help us. I'll see you in the next episode.